Hi, welcome to Oakland Stories. I'm Oakland's Mayor, Libby Schaaf, and today our fantastic guest is Fantastic Negrito, two-time Grammy Award-winning musician and just a visionary blues master. Thank you so much for being here to talk about you and Oakland.
Thank you so much for having me, Libby. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, I always like to start back, kind of in the Wayback Machine.
Okay.
Talk to us about growing up here. Now, I understand that you moved to Oakland when you were 12. You grew up in an Orthodox Muslim family. What was Oakland like to arrive in? What were some of your earliest memories of the town?
Well, I was coming from New England, very waspy, Western Massachusetts, New England, and so that was very limited. I think that's the word I could use. And but I had good experiences too. But it could be rough, especially for a person of color during that time. Mm-hmm. That was the '70s, it was a long time ago. So Massachusetts was rough. So when I came to Oakland and saw all this diversity and all these things happening in the streets and this counterculture and the remnants of the Black Panthers and the edginess of the Hells Angels and Too Short and all, it of course blew my little mind. And it was perfect. I looked around, I thought, wow, this is the tribe that I belong to. This is my tribe. And so I made some pretty radical decisions. I ran away as soon as I got here. I was 12 and never came back home. So yeah, I never saw my dad again, so that was tough to deal with. You know, later in life, I'm like, wow, I never got to see my dad again. He had passed away. But I mean, you could just eat it out of the air. It was in the air. You know, you had the angst of punk music. Hip hop was a baby. You know, they weren't even playing rap music on mainstream radio stations. And yeah, there was just such openness. It was incredible and mind-blowing.
Yeah. Now, I read a quote from you that said during your teenage years, everyone was doing drugs and carrying pistols. Now,
well, selling drugs and doing drugs. And our generation was not really doing the drugs. Unfortunately, we were selling the drugs and selling a lot of the drugs. And I felt like we were kind of destroying our community, but trying to attain the American dream as it was programmed to us and still is, but we pretty much were destroying our community. Yeah, and there was, you know, the proliferation of firearms started a long time ago, and they were easy to get, and it cost a lot of us our lives. I remember relatives, my 14-year-old brother, 16-year-old cousin shot right here in Berkeley, but these things were readily available to children at the time.
How did you move out of that danger, and what role did music play?
Wow, that's a good question. How did I move out of that danger? Well, there were things that happened during that time, and they were challenges to me. I remember being, you know, we called ourselves running a drug house in Oakland, and I guess we were doing it in an area where we shouldn't be doing it because we weren't that tough. We thought we were, but we weren't killers. You know, we were starting to deal with some pretty edgy people. So I remember coming home. I think I'd just been stopped by the LAPD, just went to jail for a little bit for some things I probably shouldn't have been doing them. I shouldn't have been doing them, let's be honest. But I was doing them. And I came back home to this house that we had, and I wasn't even that street smart. I thought I was. The door was kind of partially open, and I'm like, the door looks broken. So, you know, anyone with street smarts would have known, hey, something went down, don't go in. But I went in, and there were 3 men. They were my age, but they had on stockings, and they had guns, and they were pretty serious about getting what they wanted to get, which was they knew we had money, we had drugs. And I remember being put on the ground, and that, I think it was a 9mm put at the back of my head, and I was just like, phew. thinking like how they'd find me, explain to my mother what had happened. And thing is, they found the money eventually. And when that gun came off my head, it felt like 1,000 pounds. And right then I knew, I was like, you know what? I'm leaving and I'm going to go to LA and become a musician and a rock star because it seemed like a better lifestyle, you know? And I made my decision right then. And I think the next day I asked a friend of mine, "Are you going to LA?" "Yeah, I'm going down there." I'm like, "Let's go." And I left with $100. So that was the catalyst. It was the best thing that ever happened to me, something very tragic and near death. I thought at that moment, I was like, I'm gonna die. They're telling me to get on the ground. My face was on the dirt. It was in the back of the house. And I thought that was it. And I was closing my eyes, just waiting for that bullet, waiting for it to happen, and it didn't happen.
Now, that is intense.
It was pretty intense. It was crazy, yeah.
You were a teenager then.
I was a teenager. I was about probably 20, so maybe, still a baby in today's.
And you, at that time, knew you wanted to be a musician, be a rock star.
Yeah, I got, had been sneaking in the UC Berkeley learning how to play the piano.
So tell me about this. You were, I'd read that. You would sneak into UC Berkeley.
Sneak in the UC Berkeley.
And like
I had
steal
sideburns.
time.
I had sideburns still, and I would go in and just kind of, I think I wore a tie, and I'd be like, who knew in Berkeley? I mean, they weren't wearing ties, but I was a dumb kid, so I would sneak in. Well, I wasn't that dumb because I was able to sneak in, and that waspy upbringing in Massachusetts gave me proper English and be a non-threatening black man. Hello, I'm here for my piano practice, So I'd go in there and I would sit in the middle of this, they had these practice rooms, and I just listened to what was going on and I would just copy them. They were just scales. I didn't know they were scales, but I was figuring out how to play. So thank you, UC Berkeley. I wonder if anyone ever knew. They never said anything. They were just like, signed, and they'd give you a key. So you'd have to get a key and open up the room. So I was like, playing a little bit. And back then we had 4 tracks. That's how you did it. You get a 4-track and drum machines. But I was in the streets too. I wanted to make a lot of money. And how you made money back then, when you were a young person in the inner city, that you could go work minimum wage at McDonald's, or you could have the American dream, which has been, you've been brainwashed to live this idea. If you have a car, and if you have a house, and if you have money, and you're young, you want the ladies and this sort of thing. And I think all young people wanted that at that time, to be fair to them. But how you acquired that was by, you'd go get at that time, the powder cocaine, you'd cook it up. I remember I cooked up my first batch on 32nd and San Pablo, and that's why I have it on the album cover of the Last Days of Oakland. And that's where you did it, and you rocked it up, and you sold it. And there was a tremendous amount of money in it. For young people to have access to this kind of money was probably unprecedented.
But you walked away from all of that to become a musician.
Yes.
How did Oakland, or did it, inspire your sound?
Well, you growing up in Oakland, that sound, and just the Bay Area sound, it's in your DNA. If you grow up here and if you have ears and you're listening, because I'd be in Berkeley and I'd know people that were into the Grateful Dead. And I was like, well, that's kind of cool, And into Creedence Clearwater Revival. I went to school with their kids. But at the same time, I'm in the streets and, there's Too Short happening. And I remember being at Sweet Jimmy's when MC Hammer made Let's Get It Started. I was there that day. So that whole, and Tony was coming up and in Vogue, and the music was just rich coming out of here. It was unbelievable, the sound. So of course that was automatically in the DNA, the sound. So I went down to LA, and it felt a little bit easy because I thought, hey, I'm original. I'm from the Bay Area. I was raised in the Bay Area, and that gave me this particular sound, and it gave me this particular edge, and it gave me this fearlessness to be original in style, dress, attitude, music. So within 2 years, Prince's manager assigned me. And within 4 years, I had $1 million recording contract, an advance of $1 million, which was unprecedented. And at the time, it was the largest recording contract in the history of the music business. A guy named Jimmy Iovine, who's got a big portfolio now and a big profile. He was the guy who signed me. So having that swag from Oakland and having that history behind you, I was so confident. I just knew that it was going to happen. And I knew that everyone was doing one thing in LA and I was doing something completely different. So
you have the unapologetic Oakland swag.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
And I'd say you still do. You still do.
Yeah, it's important. I mean, the legacy here is massive. Oakland's a small city with a massive handprint. Everywhere I go in the world, you can be in Norway, Cyprus, Istanbul, you say the Bay Area, you say Oakland, people go nuts in the audience. And it's amazing that a city this small has the handprint of New York.
That's great. Definitely when it comes to culture, we do.
Absolutely.
You are part of making that handprint right now. It is something that we are all so proud of. When we come back, we're going to talk more about Fantastic Negrito's recent albums, the things that won him those Grammy Awards and that are helping make Oakland a household name all over the world when it comes to talent.
Did you know that K-Top streams live online? That's right, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Visit our live stream today at oaklandca.gov/oakmeeting. K-Top, your government access TV station.
Welcome back to Oakland Stories. I am here with Fantastic Negrito, talking about your kind of current musical career. Your first full-length album was titled Last Days of Oakland.
The Last Days of Oakland, that's right.
The Last Days of Oakland. What inspired that title? What do you want people to feel about our hometown?
What inspired that title? That's, I think it's funny, I was sitting in New Orleans, I was on tour, when I thought, wow, New Orleans has changed. Wow, look at this, the new New Orleans. And then I thought, wow, so has Oakland. And I thought the Last Days of Oakland. And I remember, like, some of my names can be like, freak people out. I remember coming up with Fantastic Negrito and people were like, oh, I don't know. Like, that's, like, white people don't want to say Negrito. It makes us uncomfortable. I heard that. And I was like, then that's great then. That's exactly who I want to be. And so I remember the same thing when I came up with the name. I was, I just won Tiny Desk. I'm sitting in this like room full of like the new Oakland, kind of hipster Oakland. And I'm like doing this acoustic set. And I was like, I'm writing an album called The Last Days of Oakland. And they were like, oh, everybody freaked out again. And I'm like, no, relax. I don't mean it like that. But I think that there was so many changes have happened. I thought that people that were born in the city of Oakland may not be able to, and that grew up here may not be able to afford to live here anymore. And I thought, wow, that's super interesting. I think that, 25% of the African-American population have moved away. And that's going around in all the cities that I tour in. There's just so many new things happen. And it was like, you know what? Some things aren't going to be good. Some things are going to be incredibly great. Everyone's not going to be happy, and that's just the way that life goes. So The Last Days of Oakland to me wasn't morbid. Even my mother was like, that's so morbid. And, I just thought like things end sometimes, and that's what it is. And so it depends on what we do. That's the challenge. What do we do with this thing that has ended? Because when I was a kid in the 80s, I remember there's a bunch of us kids, we were acting a fool, being silly. And I remember this little white man came out and he goes, don't you know this used to be an Italian neighborhood? And then I never forgot that guy. I just thought like, I just stopped in the middle of whatever chaos I was doing, back then. And I just thought, Italian neighborhood, like really? So I think it's always evolving. Things are always changing. And the real challenge is what do we do in the midst of these changes? So I thought the album was really a lot about that there's good in the new Oakland, there's bad in the new Oakland. There's some things that suck. There's great things in it, and there's some things that suck. And in the old Oakland, there's amazing things. seeds that were planted a long time ago as I sang the record. And then there was that, I lost a lot of friends to gun violence. So nothing's perfect.
I love that opening section. I listen to that album all the time. And
thank you. You're helping me eat. Listen to it on Spotify.
I did buy it.
Good.
I paid for it.
Well, buy some more.
Even though you brought me a copy, I don't have a CD player, so I couldn't play the one you bought.
I got vinyl, so I should give you some vinyl. You got vinyl?
No.
Get some vinyl. Come on, you grew up with vinyl like me.
I did.
So you don't want to, it's too messy, you don't want to go through vinyl again?
Maybe when I'm done being the mayor, I'll have time to sit around and listen to records, but...
I'm going to get you a record player for your birthday. If you don't have. Let's get her a record player. Because vinyl's amazing.
But I think we're around the same age.
We are.
I graduated from Skyline High School in 1983.
86.
All right.
I went to Skyline I think they put up with me for 4 weeks. Back in like 1984.
Yeah. Well, Ronnie Newton, Huey's son, was my classmate.
Wow, what was that
Hung out
like?
with him. He was a super nice guy.
Okay, cool.
But when I listen to that opening kind of number in your album, I love it. It speaks to me.
I think that's Oakland.
Because you say, like, I miss the old Oakland. I hate the new Oakland. I love the new Oakland. Crack cocaine.
Yeah.
It's so expensive.
Right.
But then that short intro ends by saying, the seeds were planted long ago. Let's watch them grow. Talk to me about what you mean by that.
You should use that slogan, like when you run for office, you run for governor, that'll be your slogan. Well, I think that people made the Bay Area great. Mm-hmm. I think that human beings, human lives, human experiences, that's what made this place amazing and why it's resonating and vibrating so much and why people want to come here. And so when I said that, I think I was saying even to the new Oakland, like, hey, let's remember what made this city amazing. So people are playing drums at Lake Merritt and, well, that's what we do. That's what made this city amazing. That's how we get down. People are, having a barbecue at the lake and, okay, so that's what we do. That's what gives the city the swag. And that's what gives it its groove, its feeling, its magic. Why I went out into the streets and started playing. I didn't ask a record company to sign me. I didn't ask for permission. That's what the Bay Area, that's what we do. Boogalooing, all these dance styles that came from Oakland, we didn't ask for permission. You understand? So that's what I mean. So let's remember what got us here. Let's remember why Oakland is great. And let's embrace the roots and let's embrace the culture. And I think we can keep being amazing. Yeah. With all the new growth and all the new money and then all the tech stuff, that it can come together.
Well, I love that hopeful vision. Now that's your first album, wins you a Grammy. Your second album.
No record label, by the way.
Wins you a Grammy.
Yes.
So far you're batting 100.
Yeah, batting 100.
And your most recent album that's out, I understand you've got one that's kind of about to come out, but your most recent album that's out.
Please Don't Be Dead, yes.
Please Don't Be Dead. I'd say one of my favorite songs on that, which I understand is maybe a personal anthem for you, is take that bullshit and turn it into good shit. Absolutely. I get to tell you, as the mayor, I love that. I love that. I have days where I come home and I just listen to that.
That's your mantra.
It's my therapy.
That's cool.
Why is that your mantra? Why is that your personal anthem?
I think losing my 14-year-old brother, losing my cousin, losing countless friends to gun violence, I think that you had to take the higher road. You had to look at those tragic situations and say, what is the good that I can take out of this? Because the bad will drag me down and make me very angry. I lost my hand in a car wreck. I mean, this is my playing hand. And I was faced with a hand that doesn't move being a musician. And again, I had to take that bullshit and turn it into good shit because I could really think about how this could stop me. But one thing I learned from my immigrant dad was never talk about the things that can't happen. And I love that attitude. And I was only going to walk towards that light and walk towards all the possibilities of, hey, so you got a hand that doesn't move, so you're going to play the piano and the guitar a little differently than other people, and that's what's good. Different is good. One thing Oakland taught me when I landed here was that different was okay. It was all right to be different. It was kind of all right to be a bit of a freak. And that is what makes us the greatest tribe, I say, ever. Wherever I travel in the world, I say, I'm from the Bay Area, I'm from Oakland, we're the greatest tribe ever.
I love it. I love it. You're speaking to me.
Yes.
So, 2-time Grammy Award winner, and you decided to open your studio in West Oakland.
Yes.
In, I think you called it the most ratchet liquor store?
Yes.
Bluebird?
Bluebird Liquor, yeah. Bluebird Liquor's on San Pablo. I remember walking in there as a child. I'd run away. I was running all over the Bay Area and catching the bus to Richmond and going to Eastmont Mall. I was having a great time.
Back when Eastmont Mall was actually a mall. It had shops in it. Yeah.
It was crazy. I mean, that feeling, that sense of urgency was amazing back then. But I remember like stumbling into that liquor store for whatever reason and just like standing in the middle of it and just watching. I mean, I was young, but I felt like something was so decadent about it. There was like bad food. They were selling like the screens, so people could, do hits of crack. And there was prostitutes like all over San Pablo Avenue. It was colorful. They were actually beautiful, the prostitutes. I was young, I was like, wow, they're incredibly beautiful and healthy. They weren't like the, after crack hit the community, then we had crack prostitutes, crack hoes is what they call them, and who were just a victim of the circumstances. But this was before the crack had hit, and these prostitutes were just some of the most beautiful women that I'd ever seen in my life. And any kid from that era can attest to that. But yeah, that liquor store was just, they were doing business in the back, and it was just everything bad about what you could do in a community. You could come into a community and you can rape the community, or you can come into a community and you can contribute. And I find that if you contribute to stuff, that even if you're greedy and you want to pull everything out of the community, if you contribute to it, that you'll probably get rich too, the same way. So being a contributor is the best way to go if you're greedy.
So this is now where you have your recording studios.
So I make music.
And you also have something called Black Ball Universe.
Yeah.
That's your business? What is
business.
that? What is that?
Someone asked me that once when I was trying to rent an apartment. He's like, and what kind of business is that? I think it's a collective of people with courage. I think it's a home for people that feel a little bit outside of the box, and mostly artists. And it's a place where we can get together and, be the brilliant community. As Prince said in his last book, I like that quote. He's like, I think his only book, he's like, members of the brilliant community. And I was like, yes, the brilliant community. And so that's what I think Black Ball Universe is. It's a place where there are possibilities, where a middle-aged guy can go out on the street and start playing songs and have 2 Grammys and a career. That's what Black Ball Universe is. It's a tiny microcosm of the possibilities of America. What America can be, what it is that it was a bunch of people, immigrants from all over the world. Some of them felt a little strange in their country, or a little left out. You felt a little picked on. Well, come on home, baby, and let's do something incredible.
And Oakland is the place to do that.
Oakland is the place. West Oakland, come on.
Now, Xavier, I owe you something.
Money?
It's better than money.
Better than money?
Something money cannot buy.
Woo! I like it.
You performed at Art and Soul.
I did. That was great.
And there is usually a tradition where when we have some of our brightest, most talented lights come home and share their talent with the adoring fans here in Oakland, that we present you with a key to the city. And I forgot to do that.
How dare you?
Art and Soul. So I'm going to make up for it. I'm going to do it right here.
Oh, man.
All right. Here it is. This was actually forged in West Oakland at the Crucible. You can see that these are the Twin Federal Towers. This is our Oakland tree. Get ready, it's heavy,
That
but I
is-
present to you the key to the city.
Wow. I actually got a key to the city that I used to sell keys in. Thank you. And if somebody's messing with me,
It's got a lot of uses. Like I said,
a lot of uses.
money cannot buy that. It
This
is
is
very,
great.
very
This is-
special.
thank you so much. This is a great honor. I mean, it would, if my father could see me now.
Well, maybe he's looking at you right now.
Yeah, and criticizing me. No, I'm kidding. I'm joking.
No, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for.
I guess this deserves a hug.
Oh,
Thank you so much.
you're an honor to our city, really, really.
Well, it's a great honor.
All right. Well, when we come back, we're going to talk about Oakland's future and how Xavier, aka Fantastic Negrito, sees positive changes and how we can start raising more generations of incredible talents just like you.
The Great Migration was an outpouring of 6 million African Americans from the South to the rest of the United States of America from the time of World War I until the 1970s.
We focus on the development of West Coast blues, that wartime migration of so many cultures, Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Oklahoma.
Music is probably the most significant and recognizable, instantly recognizable gift of the Great Migration.
You bring these Africans over here to work for no pay, and you're gonna own them, and they're coming with this rich musical tradition that goes back thousands of years in Africa, and you put them in the fields, something happens.
The more you research black music, the more you realize everywhere black folks go, they create a musical scene of their own.
West Oakland's black community in the middle decades of the 20th century developed a rich and robust entertainment culture.
7th Street, which was the epicenter of black life. They had stores there. The movie theater was there on 7th Street.
You would see both sides of the street, businesses. You would see people walking back and forth, both sides, all black, happy, music, music, music.
The people brought the sounds that was with them. And once they became city people, the sounds evolved because they was evolving. So the music starts reflecting that.
Welcome back to Oakland Stories. We're here with the Fantastic Negrito. And I want to talk to you about your vision for Oakland's future. In your album, you talk so much about not just Oakland's past, but you paint a somewhat hopeful picture for where we're going to go from this moment. But you capture that we're in this moment of change, that it's painful, it's uncomfortable, it's unsettling. Talk to me about how you see where Oakland is right now and how we're going to move through this particular period.
That's interesting that you use those adjectives, because all change, when you're trying to attain something great, whether it's walking the lake twice or trying to go on a diet or lifting weights or trying to make a record or run for office, it's always uncomfortable and it's always painful and it's always challenging, and it should be. I think things that are very rewarding are often very, very challenging. So I've always been optimistic. I mean, I'm the 8th of 14 kids. And, you had to be optimistic that you were going to get a clean pair of socks, that you get that last, sip of milk, you'd get the clean underwear. I mean, that's what it's like growing up with that many kids. And from my accident, losing my playing hand, being in a coma 3 weeks, and the people telling me that, hey, it's over and you won't be able to function ever again. And I remember getting disability, and then I remember just turning it down, just mentally to be ready to go and try and do this thing again. Because they were like, you can only have a certain amount of money in the bank. And I'm like, well, that's not me. I'm going to go out and win again in the true sense of Bay Area hustling, even though I was in LA, but that Bay Area hustling was just in me. You know what I mean? After I had the record deal and it didn't really quite work out, and then bam, I got into this accident, 3 weeks in a coma, lose my hand. The Bay Area hustling kicked in where I was like, you know what, then I started opening illegal nightclubs in LA. They were great though, people loved it. They were like, this is amazing that this club opens at midnight and you can hear some live music. And that's the spirit of just seeing the endless possibilities and taking the bullshit and turning it into good shit. I don't see any other way. So no matter what we're faced with, hey, did we wake up this morning? Hey, are our limbs moving? That's what the coma taught me. It's like, wow, you can move, you can turn your head, you can drink water, you can use the bathroom without someone helping you.
Radical gratitude.
Yeah, gratitude that's the religion. I always think like, people are like, what religion are they? I'm like, gratitude. Because when you can think like that, there's really no downside because you're just grateful for everything that's happening. So whatever is going out there and even in people's lives and it looks so grim and it looks so bad, there's always a way. And we can't do it alone. It took me till I was 40 years old to learn that. But I remember the epiphany. It's like, wow, I can't do it alone. I thought I could do it alone. We're taught in this country like individualism and you did it, self-made. I hate that word, self-made. That's the worst.
I do too.
Because when you're saying self-made, you're not really giving credit to the people that put up with all your shit along the way. I got to sleep here tonight, I need to borrow $5. You're not giving them credit. Your mother like listening to that damn chord over and over again, or your friend or your neighbor or someone that went out and helped you early on your campaign. So self-made is a terrible word. No one is self-made.
Well, you're sitting here talking to the mayor of Oakland, someone who is the head.
Wait a minute, you're the mayor?
I am. The head of government. Government is kind of the epitome of our collective selves, or at least it should be.
It should be.
So, bring it. As the mayor, what do you think I should be doing? What do you think our city government should be doing in this moment for Oakland?
Well, I think this is what I think about the government and the city government and the actual state government. I think that
please separate us from the federal government right now. Okay, right now at least.
Well, I think this is the biggest problem, and I learned this from being in band, directing the most difficult people in the world, artists and musicians. So I think that you got to learn how to work together despite your little differences. One thing we have failed, I believe, like on the left, I consider myself on the left, we failed because we have all these subgroups and everybody has these different beliefs. Well, I'm Black Lives Matter and I'm the trans people and I'm the gay coalition and I'm the white people and I'm the Asian people. I think that we're not cohesive. We have this amazing, diverse team, but we're not working that well together. And we're so entrenched in these subgroups and this ideology that we are not a functioning, effective team. So the first thing I would say is city government is that how do you find a way to unite people? Kind of the way the right has, man, they're united. They got it down. They're like, build a wall, xenophobia, let's promote pseudo-racist crap. They're all together, man. I think Trump has, a 95% approval rating in his party. So I think what we can learn from that, if anything can be learned, because I think taking the bullshit, turning into good shit is looking at something really bad and seeing like what are the lessons in it. It's like, how do we get people on the same page and stop finger pointing so much and bickering about the small things, and they're small. They're actually small that divide us, and rather focusing on what are the major things that unite us? Aren't we the people with love in our hearts? Aren't we the people that promote liberalism and openness and that everyone is welcome? Everyone deserves a chance, no matter your race, color, religion, sexual preference, gender. Aren't we those? Isn't that us?
That is especially us in Oakland.
Exactly.
And I always think two things unite us: food and music.
I'm with that.
I think Oakland does both pretty well.
We do extremely well, but I think my answer is long, but yeah, you got to focus on what makes us work. And I think a big thing of that is the arts. Like we have to, I snuck into UC Berkeley and learned how to play. I mean, I remember growing up, it seems like there was so many opportunities for kids to do something, and I think that that's missing.
Well, and I want to ask you about that.
Yeah.
We are both parents.
We are parents.
We've got some kind of preteen aged kids. So thinking about what you were like back then, but the times we live in today,
right?
What should we all be doing to nurture the next generation of Xaviers, of Fantastic Negritos?
I think kids need places to go. Kids need opportunities. At my studio, I mean, I don't have like a program or anything, but I do have a group of young people that come in and like you learn Photoshop, learn editing, let's make videos, they feel very empowered and they feel very happy to be doing something constructive. They don't all just want to play video games. I think that we can give them a lot more directions, a lot more opportunities, a lot more places to go, or they will go and snatch your computer. And you know, that's happened. A couple people have lost their lives. But I remember like being one of those kids. I used to do a lot of stupid stuff like that. And the thing that stopped me were people in the community that were giving me opportunities. They were giving me a place to go. You know what I mean? And I think we can, I don't really know what's out there because maybe I live in a bubble somewhere, but I open my door and I do have kids that come in and they'll spend the whole day just learn. I want to play drums. How can I learn how to play drums? Well, you want to learn how to play drums, you do X, Y, and Z. But before you do that, this is what you got to do. You need to sweep up, pick this up, and then you can sit on the drum set. Well, I want to learn Pro Tools. My Pro Tools engineer was just a kid when I met him, and now he's got 2 Grammys because he's worked with me, and he now I think he's 30 now. But you got to give them opportunities. They need opportunities, places to go. We're the adults, where they can come and learn something, so that they won't snatch your computer. Because trust me, we can ignore these kids and be like, oh, we're scared of them. Oop, they're sagging, their pants are sagging on the corner. We ignore them, trust me, we're going to hear from them because they're going to be breaking into your house. They're going to be breaking into your cars. They're going to be snatching your iPhones and your computers. So I think if we fear these kids so much, which I sense a lot of fear out there, that we invest in them. And that means just opening up a few doors, opening up opportunities to learn stuff and to give back.
Well, thank you for being one of those people who's opened up your door.
Absolutely.
It's pretty magical.
I better, or they'll rob me. It's that simple. It's not easy. I'm like, doors open. Come on in, learn. It's amazing. We got some really bright people, Adiyam and Malik, and amazing kids, Bomani. These are amazing kids.
Right,
they're
shout
stars.
Out to your friends.
They're stars. They're young, and they inspire me. When I come in there and I see them enthusiastic, look, I shot this video clip. I'm like, wow, it's amazing.
Yeah. To kind of bring us home, tell us a story that you think epitomizes your love for Oakland, or why everyone should love Oakland.
I've got a lot of those stories.
You can tell more than one.
I think the story of Fantastic Negrito just itself, meaning I was a guy, I'd quit music. I was in LA, I'd just gotten beaten up so much, I quit. I came back home to Oakland, and the laws for growing marijuana were very liberal. So I was like, yay, you can make some money. So I came back here, became a marijuana cultivator, and with the money I made, I was able to help my friends who are artists. And I had a friend who's still my partner in Fantastic Negrito and Blackball Universe, and he was a writer. And he's from Berkeley, went to Berkeley High. And he was like, man, you know, I just hit 40 and I don't know, I think it's kind of over as a writer. But I was like, hey, I'm over as a musician. I wanted to get married, live on a farm, which I still live on. And so what I did is I was like, listen, man, I'm gonna support you. And in the true sense of thinking as a crazy liberal and a freak and a hippie, I'm just gonna give you money, man. Like money, man. Like this, you know, bro, money. So I would give him money every month after we made a little money growing weed, and he would just stay as a writer in LA. So he didn't have a job, but he was able to write off of the money we could make in Oakland because Oakland was smart enough to get people involved in the cultivation laws for marijuana were extremely liberal at that time. I think they still are.
They're more liberal now.
Well, the thing is, you could actually, I could sell a pound for $4,300. Well, I think people sell a pound now for like $1,600. So that's what's capitalism. Another segment. So the thing is, this guy calls me after 3 years of money, man. Just live, bro. I've got so much money. And he goes, hey, man, what's up? What's up, man? How's it going? I don't think I need money anymore. I was like, really? What? This is, I'm a little greedy. Cool. He's like, yeah, I got this show. I'm like, what's it called? He goes, I don't know. It doesn't even look like it's going to be real good. It's called Empire. Serious. This is a real phone call that happened we're two Bay Area guys. And so I was like, well, it sounds cool. Let's see. And before I knew it, it was the #1 show in America. And so what happened in true, it's like everything, this is kind of even un-American, freakishly hippie economics. He goes, hey, man, you should just stop growing weed, man. The prices are going down, and just like get back into music. And I was like, get back into music? Like, nah, man, I'm done. I'm like, who's gonna listen to some middle-aged guy? Sing about what? What am I gonna sing about? What kind of music? I'm not a rapper. I'm not a pretty white girl, Taylor Swift pop star singer. I'm not these things. I'm checking all the boxes. That's what's popular. So he was like, do what you wanna do. And it took me a while. I'm like, what do I wanna do? What are you listening to now? And I go, oh, I'm listening to Skip James and Robert Johnson, Delta music. He's like, what is that? I sent it to him and he goes, there's no drums. Where's the beat? I'm like, you asked me what I love. So this is what I love. And he goes, you know what? Empire's doing real well. Do it. I got you. Just like you had me, I got you now. So I went to Colonial Donuts.
Which one, on Grand or in Montclair?
No, on Grand.
Okay.
I went to one on Grand. And you can't go to Montclair when they may not have got it, But I went to 15th Street art galleries. I went to Lake Merritt BART Station. I went over to San Francisco, Powell Street, Valencia, and I would just play. And I was like one man, one guitar. And I knew if I could get past the people in the Bay Area, just because of the musical legacy here, that I thought I could make it. And that's what happened. And before he knew it, I was like, hey, I came up with a name. What is it? Fantastic Negrito. Like, Fantastic Negrito. What is that? I love it. And he's like, go. And I think we really embraced the roots of the Bay Area, which were, one thing, all the great Bay Area bands, and I could name them, Sly Stone, Creedence Clearwater Revival, Grateful Dead, Santana, Metallica, Too Short, E40, In Vogue, all these groups, when you start naming them, what do they have in common sonically? Nothing. Green Day, nothing. It's not like Motown where we got a sound. It's not like, in the 70s, in New York, there was a sound. Everybody's different, a complete freak.
So that's what we have in common.
That's what we have in common, is that we're such an amazing, diverse, sonic tribe. How can Hammer and Too Short be going on at the same time? It doesn't even make sense sonically, but it does.
It does.
And now you have the new generation, you have G-Eazy, and let's not forget E40.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then,
Mr.
with
Fab.
Fantastic Negrito all at the same time. It wouldn't make sense to someone who was going into business, but what makes sense is that someone was brave enough here to start Apple computers.
Yeah.
To think outside of the box, and that's what we do here. And that's the legacy that we need to preserve.
All right. Well, Fantastic Negrito, you are part of that legacy. Thank you for making our tribe here in the Bay Area just shine that much brighter. And we're so proud to have you as a member of that family, that sound. Thank you for sharing your Oakland story.
Thank you.